Choate Rosemary Hall, in Wallingford, Con, has acknowledged decades of abuse by at least 12 former faculty members. Jessica Hill for the New York Times. Choate Rosemary Hall, the elite Connecticut boarding school, said on Thursday that at least 12 former teachers had sexually molested, and, in at least one case, raped, students in a pattern of abuse dating to the 1960s. The allegations in a report prepared by an investigator for the Board of Trustees include instances of intimate kissing and intimate touching. The parents of a Choate student complained to the school in the early 1980s after their daughter contracted herpes from an English teacher. And in another case, the report describes a student's rape on a school trip to Costa Rica. None of the teacher's actions were reported to the police. In some cases, teachers were allowed to resign after being confronted with evidence of misconduct, and administrators wrote letters of recommendations for teachers who were fired. Choate, in Wallingford, Con, is a blue-blooded school whose alumni include President John F. Kennedy and his brother Joseph P. Kennedy, Jr. It is the latest in a string of prestigious private academies that have faced accusations of sexual abuse by faculty members, including St. George's School, in Rhode Island, and Horace Mann and Poly Prep in New York City. They are closed systems, especially residential private schools where kids are separated from their parents, said Paul Monis, a lawyer who represents victims of sexual abuse. It's not like a public school, with people coming in and out all the time. There are many more opportunities for teachers to do this. Choate said it had been compelled to examine this ugly history in 2013, after two alumni alerted the school to sexual misconduct they had experienced as students, the report said. In 2016, the Boston Globe published an article that described abuse at the school, and shortly thereafter, Choate announced that it had appointed an investigator from the law firm Covington. In a letter to members of the school community that accompanied the report, Michael J. Carr, the chairman of the Board of Trustees, and Alex D. Curtis, the headmaster, apologized and thanked the victims who came forward. "We hope that through this report, our community can address the issue of adult sexual misconduct in a frank and direct manner," the letter said. "Throughout this self-examination, our goal has been to come together as a community to provide validation and support to those who suffered from abuse, to learn from the past." The report names 12 former faculty members who it says abused students, both male and female. In some cases, faculty members had sexual relationships with students for months, some of which continued after the students left the school. In the Costa Rica episode, a Spanish teacher named Jamie Rivera Murillo is said to have raped a 17-year-old student in a swimming pool after drinking heavily with a group of students. Another student came to the young woman's aid. The next morning, students told the school's administration what had happened, and the dean of students went to Costa Rica to investigate. Rivera Murillo was called back to the school and fired for just cause, but he went on to work at several other Connecticut schools, including as the principal of a high school in Litchfield County. He resigned from that post this month after the Choate investigator contacted him and the district superintendent. According to the report, Mr. Rivera Murillo said he had been drinking with the students but denied any sexual misconduct. Of the 12 former faculty members identified, 3 are dead. The New York Times tried to contact the remaining 9 on Thursday evening, but none responded. The report said that no current faculty members were implicated in abuse, and that investigators had received no reports of episodes relating to current students. For years, the school kept allegations of sexual misconduct from getting out, according to the report. Sexual misconduct matters were handled internally and quietly, it said. Even when a teacher was terminated or resigned in the middle of the school year because he or she had engaged in sexual misconduct with a student, the rest of the faculty was told little and sometimes nothing about the teacher's departure and, when told, was cautioned to say nothing about the situation if asked. Cheyenne Montgomery, with her teacher Bjorn Rundquist at a school event in 1992. She later said he abused her. Cheyenne Montgomery graduated from Choate in 1992, and as a student there, she said she was abused by 2 teachers. In a telephone interview, Ms. Montgomery described herself as an unusual Choate student because she had very little money. The Times does not usually identify victims of sexual assault by name, but Ms. Montgomery wanted to share her story publicly. Angus Mears, a math teacher, encouraged students to come to him for extra help, she recounted, and during her sophomore year, he suggested that she visit him to study. Conversations with him started getting more personal, she said. He started kind of sharing information about himself and digging into information about me, mostly about my father, and kind of through that, it developed into what felt to me like a boyfriend-girlfriend situation. And it became physical. Mr. Mears left Choate at the end of the school year. During Ms. Montgomery's senior year, she said, she was abused again, this time by a friend.